It's 8 p.m. Jerusalem time, and this is Raya from Nbc Journal. Today we are going through last week news in Palestine and Al-Najah University. Good evening. Starting with Al-Najah University news. Good evening. On Wednesday, June 15th, Professor Maher Natche, acting president of Al-Najah, received at his office a delegation of international relations officers from 3 Italian universities as part of a Mediterranean Universities Union project. The delegation, headed by Mrs. Emilia Studotto, Communication Networking and International Project Officer at UNIMED, included Mr. Angelo Stefani from the University Alma Mater of Bologna, Mr. Rafael Longo from the University of Calabria, and Mrs. Francisca Schirpano from the University of Messina. The visit aimed at introducing the international aspect of Al-Najah and exploring areas of potential cooperations for future projects. Professor Maher Natche welcomed the delegation and talked about Al-Najah student campuses, programs, scientific centers, and the political and financial challenges that encounter higher education in Palestine. He also talked about the university exchange programs, its international cooperation agreements, and the Arabic for non-native speakers program. He went on to say that the Arabic program attracts students from the different parts of Europe to learn Arabic, and expressed willingness to receive students from Italian universities. The delegation in turn discussed possible means of mutual cooperation between the Palestinian and the Italian universities. They also talked about the mobility programs that allows Palestinian students and staff exchange expertise. Mr. Ala Abu Dhair, coordinator of the International Youth Exchange Program, ZAGEL, briefed the attendees on ZAGEL objectives, activities, and international volunteers who come from the USA, Italy, and other parts of Europe. Afterwards, the delegation had a second meeting with Dr. Najjar and Dr. Rasha Khayyat, scholarships and Erasmus Plus coordinator at Al-Najah, and the international office team to exchange international relations practices and discuss area of cooperation. Later, the delegates were given tour of the Media Center, the Faculty of Engineering, and the Arts Gallery in the new campus. Engineer Hatem Al-Wahsh is a Al-Najah National University top student in graduate studies with a GPA of 3.98 out of 4. Al-Wahsh holds a master's degree in urban and regional planning engineering and a bachelor's in civil engineering from Al-Najah. Al-Wahsh works at the engineering department as well as the Earth Science and Seismic Engineering Center at Al-Najah National University. His passion in earth sciences and seismic engineering drove him to enroll in the urban and regional planning program for his master's degree, and ended up in producing his thesis on the particular topics. As a student, Al-Wahsh participated in several training courses and workshops in different parts of the world, which contributed to achieving this academic excellence. Engineer Al-Wahsh aspires to continue his PhD on earthquake engineering and natural disaster management at one of the Palestinian universities, as he believes that he will contribute to developing the national seismic system in Palestine. Welcome again. The Israeli ambassador to the United Nations was elected head of the legal committee on Monday for the first time in history, a few days following the UN's condemnation of Israeli policies against Palestine, which the international organization said could amount to collective punishment. Danny Danon was selected head of the 6th Committee of the United Nations for the upcoming UN General Assembly, despite a strong opposition by Arab nations and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and concerted efforts by Palestinian representative to the United Nations, Riyad Mansour, to dissuade the voters. The UN elections came amid escalation in recent months of widely criticized punitive policies implemented against Palestinians that rights groups have said are clear violations of international law, including the withholding of slain Palestinian bodies, the extrajudicial killing of Palestinians suspected of carrying out attacks, blockading on sealing of Palestinian towns as part of security operations, and demolishing the family homes of suspected attackers. Although the Israeli government does not make settler population statistics public, most right groups estimate that there are currently some 500,000 to 600,000 Israeli settlers residing in illegal settlements across the West Bank and East Jerusalem. However, other groups have estimated the number to be closer to 750,000. The Israeli Minister of Public Security and the Israeli General Prosecution agreed on Monday to return 7 detained bodies of Palestinians to their families, but have yet to confirm a deadline for their release. Lawyer Mohammed Mahmoud, who works with the prisoners' rights group Ad-Damir, said that he received a positive answer to a petition he submitted to an Israeli court asking for the return of bodies of Palestinians who were killed while allegedly committing or attempting to commit attacks. Mahmoud stressed that the answer he received from Israeli prosecution did not set a deadline for returning the bodies, which have been kept in morgues for several months. This ambiguity in the answer, he said, is meant to mislead the court. 6 of the Palestinians were from occupied East Jerusalem, and the 7th, Abdel Hamid Abu Srour, was from Aida refugee camp in Bethlehem in the southern occupied West Bank. The terms include, among others, that a limited number of people join the funeral. Families deposit an amount of money to guarantee that they will adhere with police stipulations, and that the burial must be at night and immediately after the family received the body. Mahmoud highlighted the Israeli authorities' recent decision that Israeli police have the right to determine which cemetery the body will be buried in and where the funeral will take place. Israeli police claimed that the new term was added to enable police to contain alleged incitement at Palestinian funerals held for alleged attackers. In May, the Israeli Supreme Court ordered the release of all Jerusalemite Palestinian bodies withheld by Israeli before the start of Ramadan. However, Israeli authorities continue to hold at least a dozen Palestinian bodies in refrigerated conditions in Israel. Israeli police have recently detained 3 Palestinians from occupied East Jerusalem for suspected involvement in terror incitement, according to the Israeli police spokesperson Luba Samri. A young Palestinian from the Shafat refugee camp, said to be in his 20s, was detained on June 6 for allegedly posting various pictures and text posts praising the activities of Hamas over the past 18 months, as well as expressing support for an intifada to liberate Jerusalem. According to Samri, police arrested the youth about 1 week ago, following the long-term investigations. The post he shared reportedly had around 270,000 comments and reactions from his Facebook page's followers, reiterating his ideas and supporting them, with some also sharing the post. The youth's detention was extended against on Monday, and an indictment is expected to be filed against him in the coming few days. Another Palestinian from East Jerusalem's Zatur neighborhood, who has been working as bus driver for 5 years, was detained after he expressed support for Palestinian martyrs and uploaded terrorists on his private Facebook for their bravery. He also attached photos and videos to his posts, a summary added in the statement. Another suspect from the Kafr Aqab neighborhood north of Jerusalem was also detained Monday after Israeli authorities accused of him inciting violence and supporting the terrorist organization Hamas. His post encouraged and supported martyrs and martyrdom, a summary said. In recent months, Israel has detained a score of Palestinians for social media activities, alleging that a wave of unrest that swept the occupied Palestinian territory last October. Israeli authorities on Monday decided to extend the administrative detention of a 23-year-old Palestinian circus performer, in spite of widespread outcry from activists and right groups around the world, demanding his release. Israeli authorities ruled to extend Mohammed Faisal's remand for another 6 months from June 13 until December 12. In addition to the 6 months he has already served in administrative detention. Israel's controversial policy of internment without trial or charge. According to prisoners' rights group Ad-Damir, a confirmation hearing for the ruling has been scheduled for June 15th, during which a military judge may confirm, limit, or cancel the administrative detention order. In a statement released by the Palestinian Circus School, where Mohammed worked, They said neither they or Muhammad's family or lawyer have received any reason or information regarding his detention. As is the customary for administrative detainees who are held by Israeli under undisclosed evidence for indefinitely renewable periods of 3 to 6 months. Their statement referred to the Israeli occupation as a system that knows no humanity, whose only goal is to break the spirit of an entire nation. Muhammad was working as a circus performer and teacher at the Palestinian Circus School in Birzeit, in the central occupied West Bank district of Ramallah, where he specialized in working with children with learning difficulties. He was apprehended at an Israeli checkpoint while traveling from his parents' home to the school on December 14, 2015, and was initially held in Megiddo prison in northern Israel before later being transferred to Ketziot prison in the Negev. The Palestinian Circus School also rejected Israel's claim that Muhammad was a security threat, saying his life was dedicated to the circus and making children happy. The Islamic Endowment condemned Israeli authorities on Monday for the latest provocations and harassment taking place on the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in occupied East Jerusalem amid the holy month of Ramadan, hours before right-wing Israeli entered the site under the Israeli military and police escorts. According to the Islamic Endowment, or Waqf, that runs the compound, 66 Israeli entered the compound through the Moroccan gate Monday afternoon under heavy armed guard. Meanwhile, Israeli police banned the Waqf employee Mohammed Ruwaidi from the mosque for 15 days after releasing him from detention. He was detained on Sunday at the compound among 3 other Palestinians after more than 100 Israeli toured the site for a Jewish holiday and violated long-standing regulations regarding non-Muslim worships on the compound. The statement criticized the fact that Palestinians are being banned from the holy site during Ramadan, at a time when Muslims look forward to dedicating their time to fasting, worshipping, and other spiritual activities in Al-Aqsa Mosque. Muslims wait all the year for this month, so they can perform their prayers in Al-Aqsa Mosque. The statement continued, adding that Israel's procedures aims to impose new facts on the ground and continue to change the religious status quo which has been maintained since 1967. Extremist Israelis reportedly vandalized vehicles owned by Palestinians in the Silwan neighborhood of occupied East Jerusalem overnight Saturday. Israeli police spokesperson Luba Samri confirmed in a statement that 20 vehicles owned by Palestinian residents were vandalized and sustained damages in Silwan overnight. The vehicles were parked on Falafel Street in Silwan, she said. A summary described the attacks as dangerous but did not mention that the attackers might be right-wing Jewish Israeli, as was reported by Israeli media. She added that Israeli police employed every possible means in order to catch the attackers and bring them to justice. The attacks, allegedly motivated by Israeli nationalism, came amid a Jewish holiday of Shavuot, which began on Saturday and ends Monday. More than 100 of extremist Israeli toured the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound on Sunday to commemorate the holiday, where 3 were evacuated from the site after they violated regulations regarding non-Muslim prayer there. Israeli authorities Friday sentenced a young Palestinian from Jerusalem to administrative detention, according to his lawyer Mohammed Mahmoud. Israeli authorities sentenced Basil Abu Diab to 3 months administrative detention, internment without charge or trial. In April, Abu Diab was detained for more than a month in Israeli-Russian interrogation compound before being released on a fine under the condition he remained in the country. Abu Diab's sentencing was issued on the same day as Hassan Safadi, a journalist, activist, and media coordinator for prisoners' rights group Al-Damir, who was sentenced to 6-month administrative detention. Israel's widely condemned policy of administrative detention allows internment without charge or trial in maximum 6 months long renewable intervals based on undisclosed evidence that even a detainee's lawyer is barred from viewing. Pricey Group have claimed that Israel's detention policy has been used as an attempt to disrupt Palestinian political processes, notably targeting Palestinian politicians, activists, and journalists. Palestinian prisoner Bilal Qaid declared an open hunger strike on Tuesday to protest being placed under administrative detention, internment without charge or trial, for 6 months following the completion of his 14-year sentence in Israeli custody, according to the Palestinian Committee of Prisoners' Affairs. The committee referred to Israel's use of administrative detention as a joke and urged the international community to uphold its responsibilities and intervene to secure the release of Qaid. Qaid, a member of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestinians, is from the town of Asira Shamaliya in the northern occupied West Bank district of Nablus, and was originally detained in 2001 for alleged involvement in Abu Ali Mustafa Brigades, the armed wing of the PFLP. He was transferred between several prisons during his sentence and was frequently placed into solitary confinement, the last stage of which left him in solitary for more than a year after Israeli authorities learned of his leadership activities between Palestinians inside Israeli prisons. In response, Israeli forces raided Israel's Asher prison, assaulting Palestinian prisoners who had announced their intent to join Qaid's hunger strike, and closing their section in the prison after confiscating electrical appliances and imposing a number of punishments on the group, according to the committee. Israeli forces detained at least 8 Palestinians, including a woman, in pre-dawn raids across occupied West Bank, Palestinian and Israeli sources said. A statement from the Palestinian Prisoners Society, PPS, highlighted that a 46-year-old woman identified as Wafa Salim Sayuri was detained in the southern district of Hebron after Israeli intelligence officers summoned her for interrogation. In the northern occupied West Bank, Israeli forces detained Mohammed Jamal Iram, 27, and Ayman Abdel Mu'ti Khudur in Jenin. Ahmed Zaki Khaliliya, 28, was detained in Tulkarem, and Atif Malik Dariya, 60 years, was detained from his house in Nablus, the statement added. In the southern West Bank, Israeli forces detained 18-year-old Ahmed Nasser Hamdani from the village of Beit Fajjar, south of Beit Lahem City. In the central occupied West Bank, Ahmed Adnan Shamasna was detained in Qatanna, north of Jerusalem, and Ali Ayman Rifai was detained from the town of Anata, east of Jerusalem, PPS said. Secretary General of the Arab League has cancelled his scheduled visit to Ramallah. Al-Arabi's visit was scheduled on Tuesday to meet with President Mahmoud Abbas in order to discuss the ongoing French-led peace initiative between Israel and the Palestinians. Al-Arabi said in a short press statement that the cancellation is due to a conflict in scheduling. The visit would have come 1 week after the Al-Arabi stated that the Arab League would reject any amendments to the 2002 Arab Peace Initiative, a willingness that representative of the Arab state conveyed to Israel amidst renewing peace negotiations with the Palestinians. Israel has continued to reiterate its rejection to the French-led peace initiative and support for Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's initiative for direct talks between Israel and Palestinian leadership. The Palestinian Presidential Office released a statement on Thursday underscoring the presidency rejection of the attack carried out in Tel Aviv on Wednesday, which left 4 Israeli killed and an additional 6 wounded. In a statement published on the governmental-run news agency, the Presidential Office underscored its rejection to the attack, saying it reiterated once and again that it rejects operation against civilians by any side, regardless of justifications. Achieving a just peace and creating a positive atmosphere will contribute to removing the reason behind tension and violence in the area, the statement read. The statement added that achieving a sustainable peace would require everyone to stop any acts that would increase tension and strain or that resort to violence. The Fatah movement, meanwhile, which is the leading party in the Palestinian Authority, said in a statement that the Tel Aviv shooting was an individual and natural response to Israeli state violence. Israel must realize the consequences of its resistance to push violence, house demolition policies, forced displacement of Palestinians raised by Israeli settlers to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, and the cold-blooded killing of Palestinians at checkpoints, Munir al-Jaghoub said. The Popular Front for the Liberation of the Palestinians also released a statement saying that the shooting represented a paradigm shift in the Intifada, which is called natural response to the high number of Palestinians killed by Israeli forces. The Ethics Committee of the Knesset, Israel's parliament, decided to uphold a provision Tuesday prohibiting members of the Knesset, both Jewish and Palestinian, from entering the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, according to a press release from the Israeli Knesset. The measure was implemented in November by the Ethics Committee amid a wave of political unrest that erupted across the occupied Palestinian territory in October. The Al-Aqsa Mosque compound was a central flashpoint for the political upheaval that broke out in past months, with Palestinians fearing Israel intended to violate long-standing international agreements to prohibit Jewish worship at the site, as rumors circulated that a draft bill to partition the Al-Aqsa Mosque between Muslims and Jews would be voted on the Israeli Knesset. At the Knesset meeting on Tuesday, an Israeli police official said that the decision to prevent members of Knesset from entering the compound remained unchanged for previous discussions. However, the officials added that Israeli police would consider allowing Palestinian Knesset members to visit Al-Aqsa toward the end of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, and permitting Jewish members of Knesset to visit the site following Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr, the Muslim holiday that marked the conclusion of Ramadan. The Ethics Committee also stated that the prohibition would be overturned if Israeli security forces deemed the political environment calm enough to allow members of Knesset to visit the holy site without risk of inciting conflict. The third holiest site in Islam, the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, is also venerated as Judaism's most holy place, as its site where Jews believe the first and second temples once stood. Israeli troops raided the southern occupied West Bank town of Yatta, blockading the homes of two Palestinians detained after allegedly carrying out a shooting attack in Tel Aviv on June 8, which killed 4 Israelis. Local sources say that the Israeli forces fired stun grenades while they carried out house-to-house inspections in the town south of Hebron. A Palestinian teenage boy was reportedly hurt by a stun grenade when it exploded near him. Locals said the ransacked houses included a home belonging to Muhammad Abu Iram, as well as several houses from the Abu Qbaita family. The Israeli army has withheld information related to its activities in Yatta in the wake of a deadly attack in Tel Aviv, allegedly perpetrated by Palestinians residing in the southern West Bank town earlier this month. Israeli forces, who were accompanied by 2 bulldozers during the raid, notified the father of one of Tel Aviv attackers, who have been identified as Mohammed Ahmed Musa Makharme and Khalid Mohammed Musa Makharme, to evacuate his house for demolition. 2 Israeli settlers were reportedly arrested overnight Monday when settlers clashed with Israeli civil administration forces during the demolition of an illegal movable structure in southern occupied West Bank district of Hebron. Israel's coordinator for government activities in the territory said the civil administration took enforcement measures against the structure for being built on a state lands where the structure was built in the illegal Israeli settlement of Kiryat Arba. Coordinator of government activities in the territories added that about a month and a half ago, construction material used for the illegal structure was confiscated. While all Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank are considered illegal under international law, the Israeli government opposes their demolition. According to Israeli settlement watchdog Peace Now, from January to March this year, the Israeli government pushed forward plans for 674 housing units in settlements in occupied Palestinian territory, despite its declared planning freeze. Israel also retroactively legalized 175 settlement homes which had been previously built without government approval. Israel advanced plans for 250% more settlers' homes in the first quarter of 2016 than it did in the same period last year, according to Peace Now, which included the approval of 24 settler units in the Kiryat Arba in March. Israeli forces detained 5 young Palestinians during breakdown raids Monday in Hebron in the southern occupied West Bank. Meanwhile, Israeli authorities reportedly closed the Hebron district's only exit Monday morning for a bicycle race for Israeli settlers. Local identified the detainees as Muntasir Asad al-Junaidi, Ammar Yasser Qawasmi, Faris Khalil Qawasma, Ahmed Jalal Junaidi, and Rami al-Himyoni. An Israeli army spokesperson confirmed that 2 Palestinians were detained overnight in Hebron for being suspected Hamas operative. She added that 2 further detentions were made in the northern district of Nablus and another 2 in the southern district of Bethlehem, all for suspected illegal activities. Separately, Israeli forces Monday morning closed the only road connecting Hebron to other districts in the occupied West Bank. That bypass roads, known as Road 60, was reportedly closed to hold a bicycle race for Israeli settlers. Israeli forces set up a military checkpoints preventing Palestinian vehicles from leaving Hebron. Locals highlighted that the Hebron area village of Bani Naim, Sa'ir, and Ashyukh were also isolated from Hebron city. Israeli forces early Saturday raided the village of Beit Amra in the municipality of Yatta and destroyed the family home of a 16-year-old Palestinian accused of stabbing and killing an Israeli settler in January, amid an ongoing Israeli blockade imposed in central Yatta. Popular resistance coordinator in the village, Ratib Jbour, said that after a large number of Israeli forces at 2 a.m. raided Beit Amra, west of Yatta in the southern occupied West Bank district of Hebron, Israeli bulldozers razed the 2-story house belonging to Murad Badr Aday's family to the ground. The building housed 10 people. Israeli forces also raided several others' homes and a medical lab in the village and briefly detained 15-year-old Mu'taz Jamal Abu Aram. According to Jbour, the Palestinian liaison office in Hebron secured Mu'taz release Saturday afternoon and also negotiated with the Israeli authorities to allow Tawjihi documents to enter Yatta so they could reach high school students who have been struggling to prepare for the critical exam and commute to school amidst the siege. The municipality of Yatta announced later on Saturday that they provided the Aday's family with temporary housing until their home is rebuilt. Palestinian prisoner Bassam Amini Sayeh, 43 years old, from the city of Nablus in the northern occupied West Bank, was reported to be in a critical need of a pacemaker implementation surgery to save his life. Mano Abu Bakr Sayeh told Palestinian radio station Sawt al-Asra, Voice of Prisoners, that her husband suffers from both bone marrow and blood cell cancer, in addition to serious lung inflammation, osteoporosis, and muscle atrophy in his heart. She said that her husband is fighting death under the Israeli policy of deliberate medical negligence. The Palestinian Committee of Prisoners' Affairs said in December that Sayeh may die at any moment after his health deteriorated. Bassam Sayeh was detained on October 8 and sentenced to 20 years in Israeli prison. He was among 17 Palestinian prisoners held in Israel's Al-Ramla prison that the Palestinian Prisoners Society on December 1st warned were being treated for serious medical complications. According to Sawt al-Asra, Bassam, a former prisoner who has spent several years in Israel jails, was most recently detained during a trial for his wife. Muna was detained in April and served 7 months in administrative detention. Sayeh's brother Amjad has also been held in Israeli custody since 2002 and is serving a 20-year sentence. A Greek delegation from the Syriza party reportedly met with the political parties of the Palestine Liberation Center and confirmed that the government would recognize the state of Palestine soon, according to the statement. However, an exact timetable for the future recognition was not provided by the Greek delegates. The Greek parliament voted in favor of a decision to recommend the government recognize a state of Palestine in December. However, the decision has not yet come to fruition. Due to some special circumstances, the Greek recognition of the Palestinian state has been delayed, but it will come soon, the Greek delegates stated. If implemented, Greece would become the second European country to officially recognize the Palestinian state, following Sweden's decision in 2014. This is what we've got for this night. Thank you for watching us. See you next week. Good night till then.